Let me take you back to my 20s when I thought I had it all figured out. Spoiler alert, I did not, especially when it came to money. From blowing my entire paycheck on stuff I didn't need to pretending my student loan didn't exist anymore. I was a financial mess and I didn't even know it. Now, in my 30s, I've embraced financial minimalism and learned to live and spend with intention. So in today's video, I want to share the 5 biggest money mistakes I've made in my 20s so you can hopefully avoid the same traps. Let's get into it. Number 1, overspending on lifestyle. So picture 22-year-old me with a freshly deposited paycheck burning a hole in my pocket. I upgrade my perfectly fine 3-year-old smartphone to the latest model immediately. I treated myself to $15 avocado toast brunches every weekend, bought new clothes for every event, and moved into an apartment that was way out of my budget. I was living beyond my means big time. Every time I got a raise or bonus, I inflated my lifestyle a little more. A phenomenon called lifestyle creep. If I earn more, I spend more, as if money would always magically cover it. Little did I realize, if your lifestyle grows faster than your income, you're basically financing a fantasy. I also fell into the social media trap of keeping up with the Jonas. Except now the Jonas weren't my next door neighbor, they were my Instagram feed, filled with influencers driving leased Teslas and friends posting European vacation pics. I felt pressure to join the club. New gadget? Bought it. Fancy downtown dinner? I'm there. I justified it as treating myself after working hard. But really, I was copying others and buying things to impress people. I was spending on once after once without ever asking myself if those purchases truly added value to my life. And the reality is, most didn't. So the result, by the end of each month, I was broke. I cringed my bank account balance and wondered, where did it all go? The answer, Starbucks and online shopping. I wasn't overspending pro, and saving was the last thing on my mind. Living paycheck to paycheck was normal for me. If I had $50 left, I'd find a way to spend it. I later learned that a lot of young people fall into this trap. As one personal finance writer puts it, right? If your lifestyle inflates faster than your income, you're financing a fantasy. And that was me. Swiping my credit card to fund a life I thought would make me happy. Aside from the obvious problem of being perpetually broke, overspending had a domino effect. When you routinely spend more than you earn, the difference has to come from somewhere. And that usually means debt or dipping into a saving, neither of which I had. My habit of living beyond my means set me up for the next big mistake, which was practically a side effect of all this overspending. Number 2, ignoring debt. So about that debt, turns out using credit cards to cover the gap between my champagne lifestyle and liquor budget led to mounting balances. And mistake number 2 was my brilliant strategy of ignoring it and maybe it'll go away. Spoiler alert, debt doesn't magically disappear. In my early 20s, I had student loan from college and growing credit card balances. But I treated them like an afterthought. I paid the minimum due whenever I remember, and I never looked at the total amount I owed. I was basically an ostrich with his head in the sand. If I didn't see the debt, maybe it wasn't real, right? I actually remember shoving unopened credit card bills in my desk drawer because I knew they were ugly. I was deep in denial, and I wasn't alone. One report found that a shocking 28% of students with federal loan didn't even realize how much debt they had. Some even thought they had no loans at all. It's a common thing. Debt is stressful, so we pretend it's not there. I did exactly that. I think, well, I'll deal with it later, while interest charge quietly piled up every month. My student loan sat around accrued interest for years because I chose not to pay attention. My credit card debt, I figured I'd pay it off when I started earning more someday. And that Sunday kept slipping further away. My mistake here was the lack of accountability of short-term thinking. I valued immediate gratification, going out with friends, buying new stuff, over future stability. Financial minimalism, which I later embraced, is all about intentionality, facing your financial reality head-on and trimming the excesses. Had I applied that mindset, I would have confronted my debt earlier, made a plan, and lived more frugal until it was under control. Instead, I let it snowball. Carrying debt for too long not only cost me money and interest, it also hurt my credit score and limit my options. So lesson learned, you can ignore a problem for a while, but eventually the bill comes due, literally. And my avoidance of debt was closely tied to another mistake. I didn't want to sacrifice my lifestyle. I was still trying to live it up. which led us to mistake number 3. Number 3, chasing status. Yes, the cloud chasing. In my 20s, I desperately wanted to look successful, even though my bank account says otherwise. I wasn't making much money in my career, but you would never know it from my spending habit. I leased a brand new car with payment I could barely afford because I thought a shiny new ride would make me look like I'd made it. I bought the latest iPhone every year, not because my old phone stopped working, but because I like the feeling of having the newest gadget in my room. I'd go to an expensive bar and pick up the tab for friends to seem generous and successful. I was buying rounds of drinks when I had no business doing so, all to project an image. In short, I was trying to keep up with the Jonas. Except nowadays, the Jonas aren't just the neighbors. They're influencers, high school friends on social media flexing vacations, designer handbags, and luxury lifestyle. And if someone else my age had something cool, I felt this crazy urge that I needed to have it too, or I was failing. This was a classic mindset mistake, tying my self-worth to status symbol. I thought having the right stuff, the car, the clothes, the downtown apartment would make me happier and make others respect me. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work that way. I end up with a lot of stuff, a lot of debt, and no more happier than before. In fact, I often felt worse because the high of a new purchase wore off quickly, but the bills lingered. Psychologists actually have a term for this kind of spending to impress behavior: conscious consumption. Buying material things to show off, which often lead to a downward financial spiral. Studies even say the urge to keep up with others is more about psychology and insecurity than actual needs. Looking back, that was definitely true for me. I was insecure about being left behind, so I kept spending to project an image of I'm doing great. Meanwhile, behind that shiny lie, I was living paycheck to paycheck. Embracing financial minimalism eventually helped me break this cycle. Minimalism teaches you to focus on what truly matters to you and let the rest go. I had to ask myself, did I really care about that fancy car, or was I trying to impress people? Was a closet full of trendy clothes worth the amount of credit card debt? When I finally said no to chasing status, I started saying yes to a healthier bank account and more peace of mind. I learned to find some contentment with less, and ironically, I felt richer for it. But in my 20s, I hadn't learned that yet. I was still about appearances and not about actual financial security, which brings me to the next glaring hole in my strategy. Number 4, lack of saving, no emergency fund. By the time I hit my 20s, I'd been working for a few years and I had exactly $0 in my emergency fund. No rainy day saving, no nothing. If an unplanned expense popped up, my only option was to pull out my credit card and pray it wasn't maxed out. Genius plan, right? For a while, I thought I could get away with it. I was healthy, I had a job, things were going fine until life happened. 1 month, my car's transmission decided to die out on me out of the blue. Right there, $1,500 in repair costs. And guess who didn't even have a fraction of that saved? This guy. I remember sitting in the repair shop lobby, sweating, realizing I had no way to pay for it except to swipe my credit card and depend on my debt. It was a sickening feeling. The truth is, not having an emergency fund is like walking a tightrope with no safety net. It was not a question if something unexpected will occur, but when. I was 23 thinking nothing bad would happen. But it doesn't matter if you're 23 or 53, you never know what the future holds. Everything from a car breakdown to medical bills to loss of job can blow up in your finances overnight. And if your budget is already tight, even a $200 surprise expense can send you into a tailspin of debt. In my case, every minor emergency did end up on my credit card, which only made mistake number 2 even worse. So I was stuck in a loop. Overspending, no savings, emergency hit, rely on credit card, debt grows, repeat. Statistically, I wasn't the only one without a saving. Nearly 2 in 5 Americans have no emergency saving at all. And in your 20s, it's especially common to procrastinate on saving. I used to literally tell myself, why would a 20-something need to save money now? I can start later. If you're telling yourself that, stop. Later comes faster than you think. And even a small cushion can be a lifesaver. Financial minimalism really drives home the idea of living below your means and setting aside money for a peace of mind. Had I been practicing that, I might have skipped a few board night or gadget upgrade and build a modest emergency fund. Even a few $100s saved would have helped, and 6 months worth of expense saved could have changed my life, and that's the ideal goal. though most people, including myself, fall short of that in their 20s. The ironic part, while I had no short-term saving, I was also completely ignoring the long-term side of money. I wasn't thinking ahead at all, which led me to my final, in some way, my biggest mistake. Number 5, not investing early, ignoring the future. When you're in your 20s, it's easy to feel like we have all the time in the world. Retirement, that's far away. I'll worry about it later. That was absolutely my mindset. I figured I'd start saving for retirement someday when I was older, making more money, and had my life together. In the meantime, I told myself I deserve to enjoy my money now. So I didn't invest at all in my early 20s. I passed up contributing to my 401k at my first job. I didn't open a Roth IRA, didn't buy any stocks or index fund, nothing. I completely ignored the power of compound interest and time, which, looking back, hurts the most. So you can clearly see the mindset mistake here was short-term thinking and, frankly, a bit of arrogance about my future. I assumed future me would somehow save tons of money later to make up for zero saving now. And trust me, future me was not amused. When I finally started educating myself about investing, I felt seriously FOMO seeing how much even a small monthly investment could have grown over 2 decades. And the practical mistake was not taking advantage of opportunities. I missed years where I could have been building wealth little by little. Even $50 a month starting at 22 is worth way more than $200 a month starting at 30, thanks to compounding. I eventually did start investing, but I had to play catch up. From a financial minimalist perspective, not investing early also means I wasn't aligning my money with my values. One of my values I realized later is security. Having a stable future options in life made me retire someday without stress. By not investing, I wasn't honoring that value at all. I was purely in YOLO mode. Minimalism helped me shift that, to cut out the impulse spending and dedicate money towards my future goals. I started small, contributing just enough to get my 401k match and automating a bit into an index fund. And over time, I increased it. The moment I started was the moment I began to feel in control rather than be intimidated by the future. So yeah, those are the 5 big screw up I proudly or embarrassingly accomplished in my 20s. So if you gain any value from this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and push the notification bell for more on sustainable fashion, personal finance, and minimalism. I'll see you guys on my next video.